Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Max.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Mae, and we were had. Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were.
Alrighty, this week we are talking about the Silent Twins. Ever heard of it?
No.
No.
I have not.
So the Silent Twins were June Gibbons and Jennifer Gibbons, and they were identical twins that grew up in Wales. So they became known as the Silent Twins because they only communicated with each other, which is super weird.
Through sounds, or did they say things?
So they had like their own language. They were the daughters of Caribbean immigrants, Gloria and Aubrey Gibbons. They moved from Barbados to the United Kingdom in the early 1960s. Their mom was a housewife and their dad worked as a technician on the Royal Air Force,
Wow.
which sounds legit. I don't know. And they also had an older sister, Greta, and older brother, David.
And they're in on the language, or it's
No.
just the twins? Okay.
Just the twins. The twins had this own little like weird language that basically was identified as like a sped up Bajan Creole, and it made people like it was impossible to understand them. So they had this like little language, little twin language that no one else understood, and they would only talk to each other.
That's insane. But they did say words out loud, so they weren't fully mute.
No, they weren't fully mute.
Tell you what, silent twins, right off the bat.
Misnomer.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
I mean, also good for us getting right into it. No tangents this time.
Yeah.
No nonsense. We are a mystery podcast. Okay, and we demand to be respected.
This is where you go for the facts.
For the news. Yes.
Yes.
You heard it here. I mean, things like, both these twins were pilots.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we've been getting ripped apart in comments recently about being inaccurate. And I'm like, we are not NPR.
we kind of
We're
are.
not.
We're very public about the fact that we don't know what we're talking about.
And you correcting us on the details of John Benet Ramsey's life says way more about you
Yeah.
than it
Yeah.
does about us.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
she
did
was
it.
wearing a white dress when they found
Yeah.
her. Like, yeah, you're the normal one.
When I killed her, she looked. All right, guys.
They just start criticizing us with like evidence that actually. What are you talking about? They wrote the.
They never found her panties because I have them. All right.
Oh, anyway, back to the
Back to the
silent,
silent
not
twins.
so silent twins.
No, these chatty
Imagine
Catties.
also, it's just people were being racist. They were just speaking Creole to each other.
They're like, they had this crazy language no one's ever heard of.
Can you believe? They called it Bajan Creole. Can you believe it?
So their dad said that like in the home they would talk and make sounds. He says they would talk, they would make sounds and all that, but we knew they weren't quite, normal children. He said. So they were weird. And so not only were they really far behind their peers in regard to language skills, but they were also unusually inseparable. And they seemed to like I said, have that private language that they were like really protective over, which is so weird.
And I'm assuming this private language started very young in their lives.
Yeah, like once they got to talking age, they would only communicate with each other in this weird
So right away.
right away.
Can I ask you this? Did the parents speak Creole, or did they just pick this up?
So, good question. Of all the things that I read, they were making like a concerted effort to only speak English in the house because they were like, we don't want, this is becoming an issue. So they were very proactively only speaking English, hoping that it would like coerce them to be normal.
Let me tell you this. I had the pleasure and privilege of reading Mae's notes ahead of time, and these are the best parents that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, they're good
They're
parents.
incredible parents. We're going to keep backing that up throughout the podcast, but come for the twins, stay for the parents. They're good parents.
They were great. So once they got to school age, unfortunately, the twins were a subject of brutal bullying. As the only people of color in the community, they were like bullied really, really bad, and it got to the point that actually the school administrators started to dismiss them early each day just to like avoid the bullying.
Oh.
Like people would follow them home and try to like pull their hair, like really, really horrible things. Yeah, so basically, like,
But they were already weird.
they were already weird.
In defense of the bullies.
Yeah, like, they're only talking to each other. I've seen videos of them, like, if you guys want to look up, like, YouTube clips of them, and they're so bizarre. And they, like, mimic each other's movements, and they just, like, stare into space, and, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They're weird.
Well, that's, like, what makes it really weird, is that it's not trauma induced. You could see
Right.
if like, God, were they being diddled or something? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Or they grew up on the streets. But they have great parents.
Yeah.
The administrators are looking out for them.
Oh, yeah.
Their classmates are dicks. But
Whose wasn't, you know?
Yeah, let me tell you something. Yeah. Well, Mae was the bully. We can all tell.
Oh, come on. You were definitely the bully.
No.
I
afraid
actually
of you
can't
now.
tell. Were you a bully in high school?
No. in
You
high
were
school,
either bully or bullied. You didn't lay low.
I was neither.
You just sort of coasted.
I was coasted. I had a stone cold pack of weirdos, lovable weirdos. Never went to parties really. We just would smoke a little ganj and go about our day.
I was a whore.
I didn't know who I was in high school. In college, was I a bully? Yes.
You really came into your own.
I
to
really
bully
came into
people.
my I've grown out of that phase, but yes, I was not a good boy.
All right, so the girls continued to attend school, although they refused to read or write. And a bunch of child psychologists said that they're actually incredibly intelligent, so there's nothing stopping them from read. It's like they know how to read and write, and they just were refusing to do it. So
They were smart.
they were smart.
You're getting supernatural with it. Like I'm
Yeah.
waiting for them to start fucking lifting things with their minds.
Pretty much. So in 1974, a medic administrating vaccines at the school noted like their behavior, and he was basically like, "Hey, is anybody fucking doing anything about this?
Anybody clocking these two?
Yeah, like you guys taking care of this, or like we're just gonna let these people not talk their entire fucking lives?" So then after that, the twins started seeing a succession of therapists who tried unsuccessfully to get them to communicate with others. So they had like a really weird relationship going on, and years later, June summarized the dynamic with her sister as such. Sorry, I'm hungover. I'm like, can't read. Okay. One day, this is what June said about her sister. One day, she'd wake up and be me, and one day, I would wake up and be her. And we used to say to each other, "Give me back myself. If you give me back myself, I'll give you back yourself."
It's like a Freaky Friday.
Yeah, but like in a bad way.
Yeah, it's not fun.
That's not fun. Like body swap. Like
No.
And they're identical. Yes.
They're identical, yeah. So basically what she's saying is like they were possessing each other.
Right. They would just like swap. How could they tell though?
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'd be like, I don't know, am I you? I'm
don't
the
know.
same.
But they can tell if
yeah,
they're in their
what
own
is
body.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, you can.
Who
Identical
can never
twins.
be sure.
Well, maybe like one twin has a birthmark or something.
Well, okay, let's say it. There's usually a chunkier twin.
Yeah, that's
Oh, well, right. Yeah. One of them should just get a haircut.
that would suck to be the unattractive twin because there is always one.
Yeah.
But for identical twins, oh yeah, you're right. If one gains weight or something like that,
There's
yeah.
not always one.
No,
Sometimes
there's
there's.
always- Don't you think? I've never seen two twins of like equal attractive levels.
Even identical.
Even
Especially
identical.
identical.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because you're identical, but
Yeah.
there's always something.
I'm just going through movies and realizing I thought of The Parent Trap, but that was both played by Lindsay Lohan, so that doesn't work.
Well, she killed her twin after that movie.
Oh, that's what I got it, yeah.
Did you
That
guys,
is what I was thinking for a second, though. I'm like, Parent Trap? Well, no, I wasn't thinking their hotness because they're like 8, but I was just saying.
that does make them hotter though. Yeah. That was her peak. Okay, so February 1977, a speech therapist named Anne Treharne, met with the two girls, and while refusing to speak in her presence, they actually consented to having their dialogues recorded if they were left alone. And so I listened to these recordings, and they're just super, like, you have no idea what they're saying. It's like they're speaking
How old are they at this point?
nonsense. So it's
14. I was just
14.
looking at that, yeah.
Yeah. So the therapist, Anne Treharne, said that she had the sense that June wanted to speak to her, but she was being compelled not to do so by Jennifer. Treharne later said that Jennifer, quote, sat there with an expressionless gaze, but I felt her power. The thought entered my mind that June was possessed by her twin.
This is accredited psychologist.
This is a credited psychologist.
So Jennifer's pulling the strings here, it seems like. Jennifer's got more power than June.
yeah. That's what, I mean, this is what that
Having
woman said.
a therapist say, I felt her power.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It's a little much.
You go to school for 7 years studying
Yeah.
great therapists.
And you're like,
You're like,
throw away the books.
yeah, this one made me doubt everything. Forget what they taught you in school. This one.
this 14-year-old girl is
Yeah.
the devil.
Big missed opportunity on naming them June and July, though. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, yeah. We
Maybe
could
that's
definitely
what they
all
were
agree.
rebelling against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big missed opportunity.
No one's ever thought of that. You just name them both after months.
People always used to make that joke about me. They'd be like, "What are you born in May?" I'm like, "No." Ugh. Nightmare.
Yeah, in grade school, people would be like, "What are you, Maximilian? What are you, a millionaire?" And I'm like, "That's not insulting." And also, no.
You were like, Ben Kirschenbaum, what are you, a Jew? And I was like,
How did you know?
yes. And born in May.
Were you really?
No, April.
Oh,
why did I
why did
why
you
did I
say
say
that?
that? I don't know. I forgot my birthday for
It's
a
a
second.
big cornerstone of your act, Hitler's birthday.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Sweet. April 20th. Close to May.
Yeah. Enough. Close
Let's
enough.
get back to the
Okay.
podcast.
All right. So ultimately, after
No one ever says that, right? If someone was like, were you born in May? And you're like, almost.
yeah, July.
Close.
Ish. Yeah. Okay, so ultimately all the experts that were seeing them were like, maybe we should try separating them because I'm thinking that they'll have some success without the other one influencing the other one. So they were sent to separate boarding schools in an attempt to break their isolation, but it totally backfired and the pair became catatonic and entirely withdrawn when they were parted. Catatonic, sorry. And then, so like at one point during their separation, it took 2 people to get June out of bed. And then once she was out of bed, she was like propped up against the wall and her body was stiff and heavy as a corpse, is how it was described.
Yeah, poor June. June, so far I'm feeling more sympathy towards June than I am towards Jennifer.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a schmear campaign against Jennifer.
Did you say schmear campaign?
I'm trying to speak. I'm trying to speak your little language.
I thought it was really sweet. Yeah.
God forbid I Jew it up for you.
Look at this mensch over here. Schmear campaign.
Yeah. June needed a little more chutzpah, if you ask me. So-
Oh, yeah.
She's taka fucked up.
This is wild. I mean, it's like there's something wrong with these girls.
There's something
There's
wrong.
a lot of people trying to help. A lot of
Yeah.
experts.
It does feel like paranormal, though, that it feels like Jennifer's controlling June from a totally separate boarding school. You know what I mean? I think that's what they're trying to imply. You know? And they needed to like feed off of each other's energies to even like
Be there.
stand up and be present, even though they're not talking to anybody, no matter what.
It's upsetting.
Yeah. So anyway, that did not work literally at all. And
What was Jennifer doing? So if June's just stiff as a board, is she just over there like saying spells, eyes rolling?
I don't know, but she also wasn't talking to anybody and she wasn't making any progress. So they both weren't making any progress, but June was doing this weird stiff corpse thing.
As she does.
As she does.
June's classic bit. It's like, get over it.
It's like, we get it. You want attention. So eventually they get sent home from their boarding school. And while they were living back at home, they spent several years isolating themselves in their bedroom. And they made a bunch of plays with dolls, which is like, no thanks. That's really, really creepy.
Yeah, who thought to give these 2 dolls? It's the
Yeah,
only way to make
right.
it worse.
So what they would do with the dolls is they would make these plays and they would actually record the plays for their little sister Rose, who was the only person that they talked to, but like through just the plays. And basically all the plays ended with like the dolls dying or the dolls getting murdered. It was like dark, heavy, weird ass play. It wasn't like this doll fell in love with this other doll and they lived an amazing life. It's like this doll murdered them behind their back and had some maniacal way to steal money from this other one. And it was like, whatever. They were
So
really
you're
running with
saying
it.
they're artists.
They're artists.
Yeah.
In all fairness, I feel like a lot of kids write like really dark stuff, like surprisingly dark stuff, when they're given like a creative assignment or something
That's
like
true. Yeah.
It was like you're projecting. What was your short story in school?
that. The little boy who
Killed his parent. So
Yeah.
Rose, did she enjoy these plays?
I couldn't find anything about her reaction to them, but I feel like if I had 2 fucking silent sisters who were only lived in their bedroom and wouldn't even come down to like eat with the family or anything, and then was like giving me these plays about dolls getting murdered, I would be like, you could keep the tape.
True. Somewhat flattered, though.
No, I would.
Yeah.
You gotta compliment me. You'd be like, "This is great, guys. Thank you. Oh, wow."
I love
We're
the
on the
part
same
when
team.
he died.
This
and
time the doll died twice.
That was great. I love when he was eaten after being dead. And that was cool.
So they spent a really long time in there. It was years on end. And interviewed for a New Yorker article in 2000, June said, "We had a ritual. We'd kneel down by the bed and ask God to forgive our sins." I don't know what sins she's talking about. We'd open the Bible and start chanting from it and pray like mad. We'd pray to him not to let us hurt our family by ignoring them and to give us the strength to talk to our mother, our father. We couldn't do it. Hard it was. Too hard.
Ooh, so they want to break out of
So
the
they were
shell.
trapped
They were trapped.
demonically.
Yes. I mean, I don't know.
Factually,
I go,
yes.
yes.
Well, the science says yes.
The fact checkers on fucking YouTube are gonna come at me.
There was no demon.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
Jesus
Idiots.
Christ.
But again, we could.
We're the idiots.
Yes.
I'm not ruling out, though, still that, and maybe I'm biased too quickly, but that Jennifer is the puppet master here. Even though they're praying together to let God
Yeah.
get
it's
them to talk to their
Jennifer's
parents or
sitting there like, yes,
yeah,
we both
yeah.
wish that we were
Yeah.
able
That's
to
what
talk.
That's how I'm. That is how I'm picturing it.
I
yeah.
guess it would be really diabolical for June to frame Jennifer as the one when she, you know, like, you
Whoa.
know,
That's a twist.
What a
That's a
twist.
twist.
Jennifer was actually the one, but no, the therapist said
Yeah.
she felt her power.
and she's accredited.
yeah.
She felt her power. I don't tell you.
That's quantifiable and scientific.
Yes,
Yes.
I felt that, and I don't think it was necessary. I felt that little bitch's power. Like it was a bit much. Like really attacking her.
So in addition to the dolls, they were also gifted diaries in 1979, and they started to write these short stories that were really fucking weird short stories. So most of their stories were set in the United States, and particularly in Malibu. Okay, good taste.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's fun. And usually the stories would involve young men and women who exhibit strange and often criminal behavior. So June wrote one titled Pepsi Cola Addict, in which the high school hero is seduced by a teacher, then sent away to a reformatory where a homosexual guard makes a play for him.
Is there any evidence that this was like autobiographical, that she was molested or something?
No evidence of
Or
that
she
I
just-
saw,
Oh God.
but I don't know. She's also writing from like a male perspective in that, so I don't know if it was
Oh.
Yeah. And also, it feels like they really wanted to be like serial killers, but like we're cowards about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like they really just like lacked the courage
Yeah.
to kind of go, if you're going to do this your whole
Pathetic.
life, just start cutting throats. You know what I mean?
Please, at least poisoning your parents or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Menendez them.
Yeah.
Or Lizzie Borden them.
Oh, right to the axe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 40 wax.
40
more.
Yeah. So actually, interestingly enough, they pulled together their unemployment benefits, which I was kind of confused by that because I'm like, aren't they minors? Why are they getting unemployment benefits?
Yeah, it's odd because like we keep bouncing around. At this point, they must be in their late teens or 20s now. At this point,
1979. What?
So 16, right? We said they were born in 63.
Yeah. So that. Yeah, I guess 16. Yeah. Why the fuck are they getting unemployment benefits? I don't know. London's over there just.
Yeah, London just figuring out socialized medicine.
Yeah, everybody should have access to healthcare. Okay.
Cucks. All right.
All right. So. But they got it published by a vanity press. So anyway, they were like
They
really
had their stories published?
A novel.
Specifically, Pepsi Cola Addict is published, so you can find a copy of it. You can read it if you like.
Such a tame name too. Really gets you to flip it open thinking that it's fluff, and then you get this whatever it was, the guard and the
guard
teacher
caught the
molesting.
kid,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know. So they tried to do that with some of their other novels and stuff, but it was unsuccessful. I don't know why. Probably because people were like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Jennifer wrote one called The Pugilist, which is about a physician that is so eager to save his child's life that he kills the family dog to obtain its heart for a transplant. The dog's spirit lives on in the child and ultimately has its revenge against the father.
Now this sounds
That's
a
a
little
good
bit
story.
more. First of all, that's fantastic, and we should take that and make The Pugilist into a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that one sounds a little more like it's kind of what's going on with them because it's like the whole
The heart living on
taking
with
the
someone
body of
else.
someone.
Yeah. Spirit living on in someone else.
Can I ask, do they watch a lot of TV or like something? Because like based on the way they live their life, like they shouldn't know anything, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Is
They're
that
just so into Happy Days.
Yeah,
Like,
just
randomly.
Every one of their stories involved the Fonz for some reason. Like he would show up a minor character, but
Someone's getting beaten to death, and then all of a sudden, and then the Fonz said, "Hey, what the hell?"
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because like they have a really imaginative expressions here. I mean,
Who are their influences?
yes.
so Jennifer also wrote one called Disco Mania, which is a story of a young woman who discovers that the atmosphere of a local disco incites patrons to insane violence. So
That also sounds
That's a good
great.
story.
yeah, maybe they're like the best writers of our fucking,
Yeah.
I was gonna say generation, but it's not our generation.
Wasn't Emily Dickinson a freak that's like stayed inside, just writing poems?
I think so.
So
Anyway.
Could be.
Could be. She also had one called The Taxi Driver's Son, which was a radio play. Oh, wait. I don't know what that was about. Never mind.
I'm sure it was great.
Yeah, I'm sure it was great. And whatever. Basically, they were all crazy and they all had some like violent component to them.
did they sell? Were any of them actually popular books?
No. Not to my knowledge. It feels like people would want the Pepsi Cola Addict one now, just kind of as like, the Silent Twin wrote this. This is like an interesting book to have in
Right.
my house. But I don't know if it's had that kind of success.
I feel like it would be a good idea, like as a peek into the psyche.
Yeah.
Were they written jointly or separately?
According to everything I saw, it seems like separately, but I don't know.
With the two of them,
There's no way to know, really.
How can you ever know? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they wake up as the other person some days, so who fucking knows?
Jesus.
Pepsi
It's
Cola Addict is
exhausting.
on.
Amazon?
It's on Goodreads and gets 4 out of 5 stars. Which
Get
is like
out!
Oh no, wait, 3.4, but it's not bad.
That's still
No,
better
that's
than-
not bad.
Let's see if it's on Amazon.
What about the Pugilist?
Pugilist sound great.
Oh, gosh.
I'm buying the Pugilist. Pepsi Cola Addict. I don't see it on Amazon, so I don't know if
okay.
you can get it on Amazon.
Bezos.
Oh, all right. All right. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
Bezos.
Fucking Bezos.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're selling Mein Kampf.
Flying off the shelves.
Isn't that weird that that's sold on Amazon? Didn't you send a link?
I did send a link to it because I want everyone to buy it. No, I was looking at it because I was fascinated by the comments, by the reviews of it.
Yeah.
Such a you thing, by the way. You should just look up Mein Kampf on Amazon and read the reviews.
Well, it was Tuesday. I don't know. What do you-
Is that going to be a bit for you, by the way? Are you doing that? Are you going to make it a bit?
I don't know. I feel like there's so many bits about like I was reading the reviews for this kind of thing. I don't know.
Is that
Maybe
right?
it's got a great
As
bit.
opposed
Do
to
I?
all your
The
other
one.
ones, your groundbreaking
What's
material.
my
Yeah, as
bit?
opposed to my original material.
Yeah. What's
my review bit?
absolutely. You have a bit about the reviews for a massage for a happy ending.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, too toothy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
No,
public.
before Toothy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pre-Toothy.
Toothy. Because you're like, oh, when did I blow this guy? You know?
Yeah, right,
Oh,
exactly.
That's great. I do like that bit a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Ben, you should do one of your stupid little videos about that then.
Oh, I really appreciate it. No, here's my favorite. So, I didn't know this was gonna happen, but I have it handy. This is my favorite review. It's an anonymous review by just Amazon customer. This is a review of Mein Kampf. 5 stars.
Wow.
This book may be hard for some to read. Okay, so it's sensitive. Due to the fact that Hitler sometimes uses too many extra words within sentences, which are unnecessary when trying to make a point.
That is unbelievable.
Yep, that is why it can be hard for some people to get through Mein Kampf.
Wow,
it's
that is-
very wordy.
It's just a little verbose.
Yeah,
That is fucking hilarious.
that's funny. That is funny. Can we is a review of the Silent Girls book on Goodreads? I'd like to hear what people
Is there
say
also
about
a review of Art of the Deal by Donald J. Trump?
that. Donald J. Trump.
Let's see if there are any reviews here.
Oh, your little foot.
I don't see anything.
Guy, if you're listening to this podcast, by the way, while this guy's looking things up, it's a great one to watch on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I swear I'm going to start posting things normally, but also Greg is heavily featured in this one. So
Oh, yeah.
if you just want to look at Greg laying on the table.
He's
for
very
a good,
long.
Good 45. This is it. And look at those. That's my favorite foot. That
All right,
one
I got
there.
a few reviews here. Frank Tomer, 5 stars, weird yet uncannily entertaining.
Okay.
Most of these reviews are just complaining that you can't get a copy of the book.
Right.
Is there anyone on earth who has a copy of this book? If there's anybody out there who can help me locate a copy of this, you will have my sincerest, most profound thanks. Oh.
Okay, well, what about money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't pay rent with thanks.
Keep your things. I don't fucking care.
I read this in the British Library over 2 afternoons. Bizarre but charming.
Wow.
Charming.
I would love to be described as bizarre but charming.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That's instead of just an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, here's another one. All of these reviews are such backhanded compliments. This one the most so. I never would have read it, but I'm glad I did because it is a fabulously bad book.
Wow, that's great.
That's funny.
All right, so maybe it's not as good as we thought, but I'd still like to get
I
a
would
copy.
still, yeah, I mean, definitely.
I think we
be
should do a book
fascinating.
club, but just Silent Twin books.
Just go through the whole.
Just go through the
And just have
catalog.
them all stacked up like a Berenstain Bears on our
We just slowly go mentally ill from reading your books. We're just
This
possessed.
April 20th, I'm getting Ben a first edition pugilist.
Stop.
I'm going to track it down. Signed by June.
All right, so in their early teenage years, or their later teenage years, I should say, the teens began experimenting with drugs and alcohol, as you do.
Yeah, the Silent Twins, the wild years.
Yeah. So in 1981, the girls committed a number of crimes, including vandalism, petty theft, and arson. Oops. Which led to them being admitted to Broadmoor Hospital, which was like a high security mental health hospital. So basically for mentally ill patients that had
Dangerously.
committed a crime.
Real life Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the twins were sentenced to indefinite detention under the Mental Health Act of 1983. And
Don't love that for being able to do that to mentally ill people, but
no,
You ever
definitely
hear the
not.
word detention outside of? I guess you sometimes heard the word detainee, but yeah, I don't feel like you don't hear
Indefinite.
detention outside of a school.
it's insane what people are able to do to the mentally ill.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can literally just throw them in a box
Yeah.
forever and be like, well, she's crazy. And they're
I
like, okay.
know. I was watching some documentary which was about like a hospital like this, and one of the people that they follow, he seems like so nice, and you get to
Yeah.
like him and whatever, and like you get to like trust him as the viewer, and then they reveal what he did, and he like killed his mom in like cold blood or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
So it's it's a tough one because it's like, do you send him to just straight up prison? But then he has like schizophrenia, so then he has to
Yeah.
go. It's I don't know. It's a doozy.
That's a doozy. Did you watch that movie I Care a Lot
No, I haven't seen that yet.
on the Netflix?
I have not.
I've seen I watched like a little bit of it. Like she goes around and
She just fucks over old people
Yeah.
for a living.
yeah.
Oh,
And
that
she's
one.
like
Okay. Yeah.
an anti-hero in that film.
Yeah.
And it's like, we should not be rooting for her at all.
No.
And I watched it with my dad, and he was like, don't you let them do this to me.
Yeah, right. Crazy.
Back to the twins.
Back to the twins. So June later blamed this lengthy sentence on their selective muteness. It's like, well, yeah. But she said juvenile delinquents get 2 years in prison, and we got, they ended up getting out after 12 years of that hospital, but, they were supposed to get indefinite. And she said, we got indefinite years in hell because we didn't speak. We lost hope, really. I wrote a letter to the queen asking her to get us out because we were trapped. So she's literally going straight to the fucking queen.
Did the queen get it?
I don't know.
This season on the Crown.
Princess Diana just crumples it up, throws it in the trash.
We're going to break this case wide open. June killed Diana.
Heard here first, folks. We were going to reveal it on our Diana episode, but decided.
Okay, so there's an interesting woman named Marjorie Wallace who in the early 1980s, she was working as an investigative journalist with the Sunday Times in London. And she heard about the twins, and she was really hooked on their story and started like developing a relationship with them. In some interviews, she said that her parents showed her their bedroom, and it was filled with all these writings and exercise books. And so she was like, "What was so interesting?"
Exercise books.
That's what it says. I don't know.
They were
what-
just fit as hell.
fucking ripped. I think what she means is like, I think it's just like British speak, but I think she means probably like puzzles and crosswords.
You know what really upsets me is that they call it maths. Maths.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they make it
Maths.
plural for some reason. Yeah.
Maths.
Yeah.
The worst part of that, the Curious Case of a Dog in the Nighttime.
Oh, that's a good book.
He calls it. I love that book. But
Really
he calls
good
it.
book.
I'm really good at maths the whole time, and I'm like, Jesus.
All of them.
Yeah. So kind of like to Ben's point of, did they watch a ton of TV or not? Or was that your point, Max? Somebody made that point.
Yeah. I was like, where did they get their culture from?
Yeah, so she was like, what I discovered was that while they had been in the room alone, they had been teaching themselves to write, and they actually had like a really imaginative, rich life in this room, which was just interesting to her. And she was advocating to get them taken out of Broadmoor because she thought that it was like too severe of a facility, and so she was advocating to get them somewhere else that was like a little bit lighter and less locked down.
They never harmed another person.
No, not to my knowledge, unless somebody got hurt in the arson, but I don't think
Right.
so. I think that they just like lit a bunch of buildings on. So like somebody could have gotten hurt.
Also,
but
who
they
among
didn't.
us hasn't like wanted to do that? You know what I mean?
My brother actually burned down like the back of like someone's backyard or something when he was a little kid, and then he had to go to fire school every Saturday for like a year. And my mom tried to hide it from us, and she was like, "Oh, Ben's going on his like play days." And me and my sister were like, "He's going to the fire department, and he has to go do these like mandatory schoolings."
Mae's family's from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But you guys knew that. Continue.
You guys never burnt anything? I thought every little boy like
I
lit
never had
something
a
on fire.
pyro phase. I don't think.
I remember my sister loved fire, but like not burning things. She would just like light a match and like look at it a little too long.
Ooh.
But
And then she would cackle. It was-
And then she would go in the mirror and say, "Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary."
it was fine.
and then she'd go, Max, give me back my body. Like I would just wake up and be no. I never had a criminal streak.
Yeah. I never really did either. Like, I didn't like to shoplift or anything like that. Like, I had a bunch of friends who had, like, really sticky fingers, and I was just so afraid. Like, I would just get caught, and then my mom would be so fucking pissed.
Yeah.
The biggest theft I've ever done, or only theft I've ever done, is that a few times I've gone to Whole Foods and like gotten food there, and if it's like strategically placed, you can just go to the eating area and not pay for it.
Oh, actually, I do that now. I do that
Yeah.
all the time.
I didn't pay my cab fare yesterday.
What? You just walked out of the cab?
Well, no, I did the I swiped,
wait, how does that
I swiped my card.
Right.
And then he honked a bunch, and he was like, "It didn't go through," and I was like, "It did," and he was like, "Oh, how much was it?" And I could see his computer. I was like, $15.44.
Our admissions are just like slowly escalating. We're just like,
And then I took his life.
yeah. Well, I've robbed banks. I mean, what do you...
But who's that hurting? You know, you can stick it to the man every once in a while. Who
God,
cares?
yeah, punching up.
Yeah. Chase Bank can, chill.
Fort Knox, yeah.
Yeah.
I was at the
most
Capitol.
dangerous
What about
game.
it? Yeah. Anyway, so Marjorie said that she always liked being with them, and she said that they had a wry little sense of humor, and they would respond to jokes, and oftentimes we would spend our teas just laughing together. I'm like, that sounds maniacal.
Yeah. They're just like, ha 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 ha. Nobody's actually saying anything.
Just three people going around sipping tea and laughing with
Can
no
we-
actual communication.
Can we also just take into consideration that maybe these two girls are just like really cool? Like, none of the people have said that. Like, it's like they were like arson, like had their own language, like
Yeah.
wrote cool books, like
Took drugs at some point.
yeah. It's like okay, I guess like they're just like cool. Like, I don't know.
Very cool. Anyway, so underneath all the laughter that they were having, all these giggle fests.
Marjorie is, by the way, put her in the fucking institution.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Marjorie just wants to. I think Marjorie's theory was the cool thing. She just wants to get in. She just wants to be with the cool kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I cannot blame her.
I can't
Yeah.
blame her, and she succeeded.
Yeah, she did. She got in.
So Marjorie began to discover that there was a darkness within each twin. It's like, go. Yeah, wow. So
You figured that one out on your own, Marge?
I'm telling you, these therapists back in the day,
they're on it. So reading through June's diaries, she found that June felt possessed by her sister, whom she referred to as a, quote, dark shadow over her. Meanwhile, Jennifer's diaries revealed that she thought of June and herself as fatal enemies and described her sister as a face of misery, deception, and murder. So these two people are spending their entire lives together in a room together, and they like
kinda hate each other.
secretly hate each other.
Which kind of tracks. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody who's
exactly.
married hates each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you just spend a lot of time with someone. You
You're
never
just
speak
like,
your language
this
since you're
fucking
little.
guy.
Yeah. They take over your body. I mean, they're little quirks.
It's a bit.
that-
It's a bit
Yeah.
much.
So despite their unshakable bond and like apparent devotion to each other, they privately like basically were afraid of each other, and they recorded that over the course of a decade. So in all their writings, they were like, "She's gonna kill me," and the other one was like, "She's definitely gonna fucking kill me."
It sounds like a shakable bond.
Yeah.
Also, I'd love to like. It was Marjorie, like she was just stirring the pot, like so she would sit down with June and be like, "So Jennifer said you're like a bitch." I just like I don't know why she was like that. I was sitting down with June earlier and she was like, "Ah, Jennifer like smells," and it's like I don't like no, I didn't even bring it up. I don't know why she would say that.
Yeah, I don't know. So for the most part, Marjorie noticed that June seemed to be more fearful of Jennifer, and Jennifer seemed to be the dominant force, as we were saying earlier.
Yes.
Yes. Unless that's like master manipulation from June.
Ben
Not
dropping that
ruling
bomb.
it out.
I have to every time I think about that now, it's like, was June just playing 3D chess?
Yeah.
I'm so scared of Jennifer.
It's pretty great. That would be a
cool.
great twist at the end of this story. Although
Yeah.
I'm more interested. There's a lot of movies here. We can make a movie about them, but we can also make a movie adapting their stories.
I mean, Pugilist. That's our Oscar winner.
That's great. Picture this, and the winner for best adapted screenplay, Maximilian Spinelli for The Pugilist.
Oh my gosh! Thank you. I'm only thanking Greggy, my angel.
Oh, yes. Greggy will star.
Doesn't mention me and May. Doesn't
Yeah.
mention May for bringing the story to him.
I'm on stage and I'm like, I don't remember where I first heard about this. I remember the one. I remember it was one.
And then also Marjorie continually noticed that June seemed to want to speak to her, but subtle clues from Jennifer seemed to stop her. So basically Jennifer was like giving her winks or being
Kicking
like,
her in the shins.
yeah. So fucking weird. So anyway, a little over a decade after being sent to Broadmoor, it was announced that they finally were going to be transferred to a lower security mental facility.
They were in there for 10 years, the maximum security?
Actually 11 years. I don't know why.
Oh.
Yeah, 11 years.
Jeez.
I know.
Now they're in their late 20s.
Yeah. They're 29 at this point. And
They've
so
lived a life, huh?
yeah, right. And doctors at Broadmoor, as well as Marjorie Wallace, they had been pushing, like I said, so they were like pretty excited about this new development. And so in the days before the move, Marjorie visited the twins at Broadmoor as she did every weekend. I'm like, get this woman
She
a
is
husband.
obsessed.
Yeah,
God.
right?
And she didn't know them before this. It seems like she was
No.
she was like trying to like spare a little clout, you know,
Yeah,
like she
oh,
was like, trying to
definitely.
like hitch her wagon, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
she's like, I'm a
She's trying-
journalist specializing in these freaks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Were they ever diagnosed with anything
No.
mentally? Mm-mm. They was just like kind of weird, huh?
Yeah.
That was it. That was the extent.
That's all I saw. I mean, I'm sure that the fucking fact checkers might have something,
Someone
but
comments and he said they had. Bleh.
Yeah,
It's like
I'm like,
okay.
We can't even think of an example.
They had like Munch syndrome.
We just start naming things that make absolutely no
they
sense.
had nausea, heartburn, and diarrhea. Should have taken a Pepto-Bismol.
I am a little nauseous. It's the hangover.
Yeah, I'm a little
I'm
hungover
so
too.
hungry. It's insane right
Yeah.
now. It's all I can think about. But nevertheless, I persist. Let's do it.
All right, we're almost done, and actually, there's a really big twist coming up. So buckle your seatbelts.
Here we go.
Okay, so Marjorie took her daughter into the facility. This daughter was probably like, "Are you every weekend with us? I thought we were going to the park." And
This poor girl.
I know, right? And she says that she sat down to have tea with the girls, and they had quite a jolly conversation to begin with. And then suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, Jennifer said, Marjorie, I'm going to have to die."
Oof.
And she says she sort of laughed, and she said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You're about to be freed. You're about to be freed from Broadmoor and go to like this other place. You're not ill." And Jennifer responded, "Because we've decided."
Oof.
Isn't that the weirdest thing you've ever heard in your life? And then so...
Was she excited about it? You read that quote like she was pumped.
Yeah.
Jennifer, I'm gonna die.
I don't know. Maybe she was pumped. But Marjorie says, she's like, at that point, I got very, very frightened. And I'm like, you don't
Tracks,
say.
yeah.
And she says, because I could see in her face that she really meant it. So according to Marjorie, the girls throughout like their writings and had told her that they had a long-standing agreement that if one died, the other one would be able to begin speaking and living a normal life. But one of them had to die in order for any of them to have that. Mm-hmm. So...
Odd.
Yeah. And during their stay in the hospital, they like really began to believe that it was totally necessary. So basically, they had a discussion and Jennifer agreed to sacrifice her life for June, which I'm like, but I thought Jennifer was the villain this whole time.
Right,
Yeah,
that's the
so this
twist.
feeds that 3D chess argument.
What if the
Right.
whole time, like June's making Jennifer think like she's like the problem, like you're
Right.
you're the demon bringing me down all along. This poor is June still alive? Or are we just sullying this good name? This woman's name?
By 2008, she was still alive, and I think that she
And
is.
nothing's happened since then.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't know, actually. So March 1993, the twins were transferred, and on arrival, Jennifer could not wake up. She was taken to the hospital where she died of acute myocarditis, a sudden inflammation of the heart, and there was no evidence of drugs or poison in her system. So her death remains a mystery.
She just willed herself to death.
That's what it seems
She
like.
stopped her own heart.
Yep.
That's sick.
Sick.
Is there a bit of like I don't know too much about this, but like doppelganger kind of thing? You've heard of that?
What if they really are the same person? Is what you're saying?
They're like alter egos. Like they're like
Yeah.
two a yin yang kind of thing
Yin
going
yang.
on.
They can't. They like. Oh yeah, like one's bad.
And I
one's
think there are
evil,
certain
one
myths
good.
with like a doppelganger where it's like in order to live on, you need to kill the other one.
Is that right?
I think like certain myths. I'm trying.
That
Yeah.
happens a lot. I also like. Is this not the plot of Us, the movie?
I've never seen Us.
Wonderful film.
Oh, really?
But it's all about like the tethered. I don't want to give it up because then someone else is gonna come and it's like you ruined Us for me.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
oh
God. Can't be perfect.
I'm sorry. Stop listening. You don't like us.
No, please listen. We need
yeah,
you.
no, please. Yeah.
Tell your friends to hate listen too.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep fueling your hate fire.
I don't care why you listen.
I don't.
I do not.
Anyway, so June revealed that Jennifer had been acting strangely for the day or two before their release, and her speech had been slurring. So, and then she told June that she was dying. So on the trip to Caswell, she slept in June's lap with her eyes open. And then Marjorie went to go visit June afterwards to be like,
Where
"Are
are the
you?"
parents? Why is it Marjorie?
Yeah, the
don't
parents
know.
really seem to lose to
yeah.
fall away from the story. Yeah.
I don't know.
Because they were like trying to help her their whole lives.
Yeah. Well, I think that they probably visited. It just wasn't part of.
Fucking Marjorie really
Anything
stealing the
yeah.
spotlight, huh?
Yeah.
Way to make it about you, Marge.
But she said that June was in a strange mood because she was expecting her to be really upset. Her twin sister just died. And instead, she said, "I'm free at last, liberated. And at last, Jennifer has given up her life for me."
Oh no.
June
Yep.
wins.
Do you think like she like absorbed her life force?
I think so. So the weirdest part to me is that they had agreed that that one of them had to end their life for the other one to start speaking and being like a normal person in society. And then after Jennifer's death, June fucking did. So June is living quietly and independently near her parents in West Wales. She no longer is monitored by psychiatric services, and she's been accepted by her community. She talks. I've seen interviews with her. She has a speech impediment, but she speaks, and she's able to have conversations and stuff. So since Jennifer died, June is just like a fully talking community woman.
society.
Yeah. Isn't that the weirdest fucking thing you've ever heard in your life?
That was
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of what. Can we just call a spade a spade? All twins are a little weird.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, as a concept, and twins are cool. I think like everybody kind of wishes they had a twin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like cool, but also it's like all twins are a little weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, fraternal it's fine, but like
Yeah, for sure. I was going to make that
the
caveat.
identical
Yeah.
is like it's like you did come from the same cell. Like there's like something
Yeah.
odd about it.
You are
right?
genetically the
linked.
same.
You guys are
Yeah.
you guys are linked. So it makes
Yeah.
sense for like there to be like things that we don't understand because you'll never understand that.
Right. So bizarre. So anyway, that's the story of the Silent Twins. I think we can say we've been had.
Well, what's the theories? Like, you did the most research. What do you think? Do you think it was just like twins gonna twin, or?
Well, I was actually kind of thinking because they were at this mental health facility, so they were getting pumped with all these different drugs and stuff
They
for
were
their
giving
mental
them
health.
meds.
Yeah, they had meds, but like there wasn't any evidence of drugs or poison in her system, so I guess not. But like my thought was like, I don't know, maybe it's like an after effect of having been on those psychiatric meds. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of why a 29-year-old
she
woman
die?
would, why she died.
Well, there is a thing like broken heart syndrome. Like it's like rare, but like you can die of a broken heart, or something like that. So like
there's yeah,
Really?
what's the name? It's a Japanese name. The thing where like a lot of times couples die very close to each other.
Yeah.
Or the thing, what was the Carrie Fisher and her mom Debbie Reynolds?
Yeah.
So like the idea that if you're very very close to someone and they die like a couple weeks later, you die.
Really?
And there's like a medical condition for it. What's it
Wow,
called?
that's crazy.
yeah, so it could be a thing where like these women, they had a very odd life. So
They sure did.
At a certain point, like, and they always say that too, like with cancer and stuff, like they have to want to beat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's part of it. So like if she didn't want to be alive anymore, maybe
Yeah.
she just willed herself to death,
Wow.
which
That's-
is wild.
that's crazy.
Talk about taking a massive L for someone.
Right?
yeah.
My God.
But June's doing well, which is great.
Yeah, which is great. Or she's dead now. I don't know.
Could you imagine she's just like a killer?
Yeah.
Zodiac.
Yeah.
Ooh, preview.
Preview.
Coming up on the podcast.
What's that going to be next week?
Well, it depends if we record this week again. You guys busy?
No? I have no life.
I
No,
have
we
zero.
could do
I
it
have zero
early this
things
week.
on the calendar. Yeah. So Zodiac next week.
Stay tuned.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for listening. Someone tell us in the comments what we were wrong about, please. And we were at.